Welcome to Startup Success, the podcast for startup founders and investors. Here you'll find stories of success from others in the trenches as they work to scale some of the fastest growing startups in the world. Stories that will help you in your own journey. Startup Success starts now.
Thanks so much, Casey, for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so, you have such an interesting background. I want to start there first. If you wouldn't mind kind of walking us through it a bit and then getting into what led you to found both Fog Ventures and the Operators Guild.
Yeah. So my path is one that is kind of the classic. Went to college, then was told that there's these really nice careers after college that you should pick from. Management consulting, corporate job, doctor, lawyer, and there's one called Wall Street. And you're like, oh, I was an econ major, so I did that. I went to an island called Manhattan, got an investment banking job, amazing, and then got a hedge fund job, which is kind of like the pinnacle,
Yes,
world,
that is.
or a private equity job. And I was 24, overpaid. It was great. I had this nice office. I remember this Central Park view, and I said, I made it.
Yes.
I just need to keep doing this and keep my job and retire in 10 years. And I made it about 8 years and realized I wasn't happy.
Oh.
Happy in a different sense, but it was, and I didn't know why. Long story short, I left Wall Street, joined a 10-person tech startup in New York, Silicon Alley.
Okay, that's a big change.
Yeah, huge change, very scary. When
Yeah.
all your professional life is chasing Wall Street, and then you leave. After you got in, and so I learned that I loved it.
Oh, good.
And I kind of joke, why do I like eating glass? I loved it so much that I realized I had to go probably move cities if I was going to do this as a career. This is 2010. And I went to a place called Silicon Valley. I was the recovering Wall Street guy trying to go into a tech startup.
Okay.
And I went to a little company called Stripe for an interview. They had about 60 people at the time. And I was very excited. They looked at my resume and said, do you code or do you sell? I was like, I don't know if that's a trick question, but I do both finance, ops, clean toilets. I'm here to know what a real tech company is like. I'm from New York. And they said, you don't even have a CPA. So you don't qualify for finance at Stripe.
Oh, interesting.
And that was 2013. And basically, back then and earlier, if you weren't coding or selling, you weren't product engineering or sales and marketing, you're nobody. You're like the second class citizen.
That's true.
You're called back office. You're called G&A.
Yes.
And so I tried to find a community because I was lonely. I changed jobs. I joined a CFO community. No offense, a lot of it was more heavy accounting, so it wasn't my DNA. I wasn't really a founder, but I was much more of an operator, CFO, COO. So I was invited to a 9-person lunch in 2015 with people like me, these kind of misfits that left McKinsey or Goldman, or, we weren't an engineer, we weren't a salesperson. And I said, hey, you're my people. Do you want to just meet every month and help each other? That started Operators Guild.
Oh, interesting.
And it's the only paid community I'm aware of that is 120x in 10, 11 years without a single sales motion.
Yeah.
So it's been all word of mouth. We now are the preeminent operator, modern operator, CFO, COO, early stage founder, BizOps, RevOpsy group, 20 chapters around the world, et cetera. And then Fog Ventures started 5 years ago, which is basically the investing arm of OG.
So there's a connection. I didn't realize that between the two. Okay.
Yeah, FOG stands for For Operators Guild.
Okay.
It is now one of the top operator syndicates, and it's very simple. We are the buyers and builders of tech. So we specialize in B2B, stage agnostic, have a lot of fun as a community investing together.
That's great. I will say that Birkeland knows Operators Guild and have so much respect for what you did. I think you brought a lot of respect to that community, right? And a lot of like empowerment and tools, and really helped like change some things about the way like back office and operations were looked at in tech. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. So tell me, like when you and I met briefly a while ago, you had such an interesting take right now on scaling a startup. I just wanted to get into it right away. And you talked a lot about like scalers and this horizontal generalist concept. Walk us through that, because we have a lot of like first time early stage founders listening, and I thought it was fascinating.
So, given my story, I'm trying to write a book because I wanted it to help many others, as I realized my loneliness and my path many others shared. So the synopsis is I accidentally have interviewed 1,200 operators because when they apply to OG, I interview them. And then I am one. And it hit me in year 8. Oh my God, I have it all wrong. I kept thinking we were CFOs and COOs. Mm-hmm. At early stage, which I define as, 500,000 person or earlier, high growth, early stage.
Okay.
That's what I define as, we are scalers. We are horizontal generalists. CFO, CO titles were borrowed from corporate. So what happened was tech created a whole new profession that never existed on planet Earth. It used to be in business, small meant unsophisticated in general, or low growth. Mm-hmm. Big meant more prestige, more money. And so when you leave school, you go to IBM.
Right.
You go to Apple. You you become a doctor.
Yes.
You go to Goldman Sachs. Mm-hmm. Who in the world is going to a 10-person Series A startup or whatever that's not an engineer,
right,
that's not a sales guy or girl? You don't do that.
Right.
And therein lies the change. A big shift is now tech, small is sophisticated.
Yes.
In fact, highly sophisticated in a weird way, which is sophistication doesn't necessarily mean big anymore. Mm-hmm. OpenAI was 100 people.
Right.
Let me tell you, those 100 people are highly sophisticated, right? But the talent is more the guerrilla warfare. So the analogy I use is a military one. So all militaries in the world, all of them, have Army, Navy, Air Force. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Why don't you have one big blob called military? Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because humans, when something gets really big, they specialize. So Army is land, Air Force is air, right? Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's too hard for a human to organize around multiple specialties.
Right, 100%.
At scale.
Yes.
The bigger you get, the more specialized a human organization gets.
Right.
Okay, well then take it to the opposite. So the smaller you get, the more general you get. Mm-hmm. So when you join a Series A, Series B, Series C company, one of the values is being a generalist. And generalist doesn't mean you're not good at anything. So that was the other issue is no one says, oh, what do you do? I'm a generalist. Like that doesn't sound cool. You have to say something like I'm a lawyer or finance. Mm-hmm. But what I realized really quickly, 15% of my calendar as a CFO was finance. I was doing recruiting. I was in weird strategy meetings. I was trying to plan an offsite. I was moving boxes for an office. And everyone that has early stage knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
We're not specialists. We're specialists at being generalists. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So elite generalism is what, that's where tech has basically moved toward. So to finish the analogy, in the military, 100 years ago, special forces was created. Why? Because it used to be wars were huge, big war, big army versus army. Now you have like the Venezuela stuff was Delta Force.
Yes.
That's 20 people.
Right.
I mean, yes, supported by other stuff, but that's a very different type of person. They are generalists, right? They eat, kill, swim, move, but their whole thing is mission by mission, very specific, get in, get out. That's what happened in tech. The special forces of business were created to go in and out of very volatile special situations called Series A, Seed, Series B. And everyone is just jumping on it and doing whatever they can. That is the scalar.
I love that. And anyone who's been at a successful startup, you're spot on, because that's what you're doing. You're doing a million things. You've got your specialty, but you're doing a million things, and you need to be able to do a million things, and you need to be able to move quickly and be fast. And, you're all just... And so I think a lot of people don't understand that, or when you're lucky you made the jump, from your established corporate world and you fit right in. I have a lot of friends that try to go to startups and they can't handle it, right?
Yep.
They need that, yes, corner office assistant, right? The process, the procedures. When you're hiring, you're looking for people that can handle that. And it's not a certain age or a certain specialty. It's kind of within the person. And you described it so well. If you're a founder, for the founders listening, how do you hire for that? How do you build that team then? Because that's what you need. But you also need those people that have the finance background, the marketing background, but that can do all the generalist things.
That's definitely half written in my book.
Okay.
One of the goals is, well, great. You've convinced me there's a thing called scalar.
Right.
Tell me where to find them. My goal is to try to formalize the category and the persona more.
Okay.
Because right now it's one of those, this sounds very weird, but it's no different than any kind of personality. So narcissism, right? And I'm not saying, but that was someone came out and defined, but in the end it's complex.
Right.
Mine is called a scalar, right? So it's just a different type of breed. And so there's a personality. So one of the things to watch for is, when you take a lot of these scalars together, the common personality, because I believe it's a DNA. So let me back up. I think we are born a certain way with a propensity to be better or worse at certain things. A hunting dog is better designed for hunting than sitting. Okay.
Yes.
You've seen the accountant breed. You've probably seen the enterprise sales breed. You've probably seen the narcissist CEO founder breed. Yes. We all know what we're talking about. The lawyer breed, right? The dentist conference. Why do they all kind of look alike? It's because of the DNA. So if you take that same thing and replace it with scalars are impatient, generally a very fast cycle speed. They get bored very easily. They have a lot of neurodivergence like me, which is like ADHD. And hence why horizontal work is very interesting rather than one thing deep. You see in early stage founders a lot of neurodivergence. Elon Musk is a very pop culture one, what clearly is on the spectrum. And as a result, there's a lot of business creativity. So you can see pretty clearly someone who is very interested in building and solving problems versus maintaining and optimizing. Okay, so those are really two big and different things. If they get very excited to jump into chaos, if they are comfortable with ambiguity, you have a pretty clear sign that they're more early stage. The other way to think about it is scalars and early stage founders are business artists. So I never thought I was an artist. I can't draw a stick figure. I can't play any instrument. But I realized the biggest difference between corporate or large and small is degrees of freedom. The bigger a company gets, the less different things you can do, which is why Amazon creates a whole different division for startups that is outside of Amazon, so to speak, right? Or Google X. Because once the organization gets big, you can't just innovate all sorts of stuff. They have a certain business model. Scalars don't really like corporate or large because they love the ability to do anything. So at early stage, the degrees of freedom are like near infinite. What product line do you want to do? What pricing do you want to do? Do you want to do a website? Do you want to do go to market? What, like, we can change anything we want. We can pivot tomorrow. That is a dopamine. So when you're in that scalar early stage world and you feel that dopamine where you have a lot of impact, ownership, and creative freedom, and you're impatient, that suits really well for, we haven't figured it out, we want to be disruptive company. So how you find them is, when you look at it that way, you can see pretty clearly someone's personality.
Right.
And of course, look at their resume. Scalar resumes commonly are all over the place.
Yes.
Because we have a thing where we don't really like to do the same thing twice. Now, if you're a career lawyer, generally you're okay with doing the same thing twice or compounding, right? That is a huge distinction, which is why we're generally move horizontal than vertical. So you'll see our, ones like used to be a lawyer, then used to be in growth, and used to then started a side hustle. You see these unfocused-y type of things, but it's really because they're bored, curious, and want a challenge.
You described that perfectly. I hope all the founders listening took note of that. I think you're spot on, because I've also found these scalers, as you call them, they get energy, right, from the chaos, from building, from starting early, and other people get stressed. They get smaller, they get worried. You do need to write that book. It's spot on. It's so true. Tell me, how is the Operators Guild supporting this? Like, how do you all bring this?
We are literally the home for the scaler.
Okay.
So we are, like any kind of professional organization, we have events. So we have in-person events and we have online forums. Online forums are what you would imagine, right? They're asking for Q&A, connecting, helping each other. In-person events are either social-based or content-based. So we had CFO Summit. We have OG Summit coming up for all operators. So that's both programming and networking and socializing. We have 120 events per year across 20 chapters. The 20 chapters they follow tech density. So the largest are SF, New York, LA, then kind of Toronto, Austin, and then on down the line. OG is the safe space for some of the best modern tech operators in the world at early to mid stage.
That's great. You must have some fascinating conference and events, right? Because it sounds like you're right at the forefront of building these incredible tech companies.
It's super fun because our programming is diverse, just like our problem set.
Right.
So once again, no offense to kind of old school CFO conferences, but if you come to our CFO Summit, we're talking about obviously AI transformation. One of them was becoming a CEO. Right, it's not just budgeting, FP&A, right? To me, a specialist vertical, which is great. But the modern operator at early stage is CFO plus.
Yeah,
they sit next to a COO. They are in CRO go-to-market meetings all the time. It is that cross-pollination part where what I like to say is we're business first, function second.
That's great. A great way of saying it. It makes it difficult, I think, for founders that are hiring to define the roles their people do. I mean, you must see that, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So depending on the stage, you find the right scaler. Scalers have spikes. So we have disciplines. So mine is like strategic finance.
Okay.
Others are people and culture. Others are analytics and data. Others are fundraising. So we are generalists, but we have a spike. There's something, a Navy SEAL has a sniper and explosives, right? There are Navy SEALs, but some are specialists in weapons and some are specialists in explosives, right? So there's that type of discipline orientation, but you also have to know the stage, right? The more generalists, the more horizontal someone is, generally the earlier. And then you move down that line, right? Someone that's a little bit more of a mix of, want to be more vertical rather than horizontal, seeing bigger scale, well, then they're going to be fit for that.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for walking us through it. And then talk to us about Fog Ventures, because that came out of Operators Guild.
Yeah, all things OG came organically.
Okay.
A reverse product market fit. So I had a few friends in the venture capital world who reached out in 2020, and they said, "Hey, can you take a look at this startup deal?" And I said, "That's weird. I'm not an investor anymore. Why do you want me to look at this?" They said, "Oh, it's a CFO operator tool." I was like, "Oh," and they're like, "And you are the community of them. So if you like this, we might take a harder look." And the light bulb went off. So the one thing I learned doing public equity investing and when I was a hedge fund manager, it's all about the customer.
That's
So
true.
there's not a single big company in the world that doesn't have happy customers. So we are the customer. So to me, I made it simple, which is we invest in the products we love in B2B. So we're not consumer. So FOG does not invest in consumer or biotech or things that are way above our head. We invest in the things that we use. So it's a lot of B2B tech, all stages. We are an open syndicate. So that's really cool is that when someone pitches to us, we're now over 1,000 of us. They get to be in front of 1,000 decision makers.
Wow, that's great.
But also these decision makers get to discover some of the best tools. So it's a very, I think, differentiated way to fundraise and to support rather than just more institutional check.
Yeah, I love that. And so, how are you all feeling about the market right now? You know, with AI dominating and like, what's your take on it?
I think the world is moving from a vertical to a horizontal operator. The first thing that AI replaces are specialists. Now, obviously, the plumber is a specialist, and maybe physical is different than. But if you look at what it first did was, I think accounting is very rule based. Now, the word replace is kind of a tricky question. There's an argument now that instead of replacing engineers, software engineering is becoming even a bigger boom because everyone's needs an AI thing. And so the non-traditional, non-tech companies may want to hire someone that's technical just to help them with AI agents.
Right.
So there's a whole thing of the word maybe not be replaced, but I think the world is moving more technical. In general, tech is just being embraced by everyone from the pizza shop to Facebook. So I think that is an accelerant. I think the office of the CFO in particular and COO have become a lot more powerful because it used to be all the data was kept in product and engineering.
Yes.
Right? If we didn't know how to code, we can't get in. I don't know what's going on.
Didn't matter. Right. Yeah.
Code lines and like, what do you need? What
Yes.
customer information? And then we would just go back and crunch numbers on a spreadsheet. Now it's flipped. The central organizations pull in everything. From the SaaS software to AI, it pulls in everything. But finance runs through everything. So a lot of times if you had non-financial data, that's great. But what makes it really interesting is when you inject financial data. At the end of the day, a business is finance. Okay,
Yes.
without finance, there's no business, right? So you marry the two together. And now I like to say the office of the CFO is the office of the chief performance officer. So we have all the information. We have sales, marketing, product. So now it all comes together. LTV, CAC, why customers are churning. It all tied to money. But we never got the data. Now we do. AI is perfect for horizontal, which is unstructured, homogeneous data together. I do think it's going to have to up everyone's game. So the days of just crunching models, right? Same thing with accounting. Same thing with anything rote or more junior. Is not necessary anymore. So I think AI is going to make a lot of people hopefully more strategic, more clever with horizontal tools. But I do think those who do not embrace AI may not have as many job options. So that is definitely something that is very obvious to me. And so what I mean by that is, if you think about it, what is AI? Who is AI benefit the most right now? Business owners. Business owners, generally, their largest cost is payroll. If you told them, I'm just going to pick on accounting, your $100,000 or $80,000 or $50,000 bookkeeper can now be mostly replaced by accounting AI, that's $50,000 to their bottom line.
Exactly.
Can you blame them?
Right.
They're not bad people, but if you were a business owner, you wouldn't like, okay, I can save $50,000 pure margin.
Right.
Okay, so guess who they keep? The accountant who really brings AI to bear. So I think if you're an employee, there's only two types. Those who really leverage AI in their job and say, hey, I'll manage the accounting department, but in a very effective way. You're great. I think you'll have a job. But if you come doing it the old way and push up against, no, you still need me, not that. Yeah, I think the $50,000 of profit are going to win.
Yeah, I think you summed that up perfectly. I know just on my team, when I inherited it, I had 2 people doing sales ops. They're both gone. Now I've got an agent doing sales ops in the CRM, and I've got 1 employee who's running agents and using AI and lots of tools. I mean, I think you're just spot on in the way you walked us through it.
Well, yeah, to me, I guess I don't know if it's insightful, but it's more like, well, I'm just like following the money, right? It's like, okay, what are people doing? It's an exciting time. I'm hopefully optimistic, but it's also very scary.
Yes.
Let's call it what it is.
Yes.
I'm old school too. Like,
right.
wait, how do I stay relevant? But so the OG is one where we really, really try to push the bleeding edge, where as an operator, it's all about evolving into the next operating, cadence or stack. And I think for that, it's very exciting. The content and everything has never been more interesting and more forward looking. Whereas before, I think we started getting a little comfortable with SaaS software, you know what I mean? And the usual. So like anything, times change.
Yes, I think we all got comfortable there. This has been fascinating. I've really enjoyed it. We always wrap up the show. You've shared a lot of great advice, but just any other advice you can share that top of mind for the startup founders listening right now?
For startup founders, if you're super early stage, you should definitely consider OG, because if you think about what you do everything. As you get bigger and higher scalers, please talk to me. There's a lot of amazing, talented scalers who want to execute on a vision. Look to these types of people who are highly leverageable. And if you have a really, really interesting company that sells or product that sells to us, I'd love to hear from you. We'd love to support both in talent or in customer intros or just getting a really cool product out there. But yeah, however I can be helpful, please let me know. And I've been there, and my professional mission is to help the builder.
I love that. I think that just helps the whole ecosystem when people give back to founders. Where can those listening go to find out more information about the Operators Guild and Fog Ventures?
Yeah. So Operators Guild is operators-guild.com. There's an application if you feel it's a fit for you. And you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. And Fog is fog.ventures, not .com, .ventures. Any qualified operator will get in. Zero commitment to invest, but I highly recommend it because it's almost like a high-end newsletter where when you see the best deals, you're actually reading about the future. So it's really cool. And then if you're interested in angel investing, it's a zero-cost way to really get involved. Once again, zero commitment to invest. It's really for the operators.
That's really cool. Thank you so much, Casey, for your time today. It was a fascinating conversation. You have to promise me you'll come back after you write the book.
That might be in 10 years, but yes, I will.
Okay.
God, writing a book is hard.
Yeah, I bet.
I really enjoy it and enjoy helping.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.